Everyone thinks you were born afraid of snakes. They're wrong. There is no gene that hands you fear the moment you leave the womb. Drop a live snake in front of a 9-month-old, and more often than not, that baby will reach for it, grab it, and try to put it in its mouth. No screaming, no flinching, just curiosity. So, if we are not born terrified of snakes, why does nearly every human on Earth end up that way? The answer is stranger and far older than a simple fear. Here's the thing. You weren't born fearing snakes. You were born to spot them. That distinction sounds small. It is not. It is the difference between an emotion your ancestors carried and a piece of visual machinery wired into the back of your skull, running silently, right now, whether you like snakes or not. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through this one point at a time, because each layer changes what the last one meant. Let's start with the eyes. Point 1. Your visual system is tuned to find snakes before you consciously see them. In a now famous set of experiments, psychologist Öhman showed people grids of images, flowers, mushrooms, and hidden among them, a single snake. People located the snake faster than almost any other object, and crucially, they found it just as fast when the grid was cluttered and chaotic. Flowers slowed them down in the mess. Snakes did not. The snake seemed to leap out of the noise. That is not fear. That is a search algorithm, and you were running it before you knew what a snake was. Point 2. There is a specific part of your brain that does this, and it may have evolved for exactly this job. Neuroscientist Lynne Isbell proposed what's called the snake detection theory. The idea is that primates who could pick out a coiled, scaled, motionless shape against a background of leaves survived to have children, and the ones who couldn't became a meal. Her team later recorded individual neurons in the primate brain that fired faster and harder for images of snakes than for faces, hands, or geometric shapes. Neurons dedicated, in effect, to a single deadly pattern. Point 3. This machinery runs faster than thought itself. When your eyes catch that snake-shaped pattern, the signal takes a shortcut. Instead of traveling the long, slow road to the conscious visual cortex, part of it fires straight down to a deep, ancient structure called the amygdala. The result is that your body reacts before you have consciously seen anything at all. The jump backward, the frozen breath, the cold spike in your chest. That happens in a couple of 100 milliseconds, long before the thinking part of your brain has decided the object on the path is a stick or a serpent. Point 4, and this is where it gets counterintuitive. If the detection system is built in, why aren't babies afraid? Because detection and fear are two separate things, and they were always meant to be. A study by Vanessa LoBue found that infants and toddlers do not show fear of snakes, but they do lock onto them faster than onto other objects, and they orient toward them the instant they appear. The attention is innate. The terror is not. Evolution didn't waste effort hardwiring the panic. It hardwired the spotlight and let experience decide whether to pull the trigger. Point 5. So how does the fear get installed? Watching. In experiments with young monkeys, animals raised in a lab showed no fear of snakes at all, until they watched another monkey react with alarm. One exposure to a frightened elder and the fear locked in permanently. But here is the reveal. When researchers tried to teach that same fear toward flowers using the exact same method, it barely took. The mind accepts snake fear almost instantly. It resists flower fear. The spotlight was already aimed. The lesson simply told it what the target meant. Point 6. This is why the whole thing feels like instinct when it isn't. You were handed a system primed to notice one specific shape and a brain biased to learn fear of that shape faster than almost anything else on the planet. A single scared parent, a single dramatic story, a single hiss in the grass, and the loaded gunfires. To you, it feels like you always knew. In truth, you were assembled from two halves, an ancient detector you were born with, and a fear that the people around you quietly poured in. Point 7. And the detector never switches off, even now. It is why a coiled garden hose can make you flinch in your own backyard, why a curved shadow on a hiking trail freezes your legs a full second before your eyes confirm it's a branch. That is not weakness or an overactive imagination. That is a 50-million-year-old search routine, written into primate vision long before we were human, still scanning the ground for a pattern that once decided whether your bloodline continued or ended right there in the leaves. So the trivia is wrong. You did not inherit a fear of snakes. You inherited the eyes that find them, the neurons that flag them, the shortcut that yanks your body back before you think. The fear was optional. The spotting was not. Every ancestor who couldn't see the snake simply didn't get to become one of your ancestors. You are the descendant of the ones who looked down at the right pattern at the right moment, over and over, for millions of years. That flinch you feel isn't a flaw. It's a message from every set of eyes that came before yours, still doing the one job that kept them alive. If this rewired how you see your own instincts, subscribe to The First People, and tell me in the comments what hidden piece of your ancient wiring you want me to explain next. Thanks for watching.